What's up, y'all? Happy Monday. Welcome back to Chill to Action on the Call to Action Network. Thank you so much for hanging out with us on this Monday night. We have, as always, my favorite co-host, Mr. Paul Denuzio.
It's me, it's PLD. Always glad to be here to hang out on Chill to Action, and we got a great guest today, Danny.
That's right, y'all. Tonight we have former champion, Mr. Big Time, Ethan Erwin.
How are we doing tonight, sir?
Oh, I'm doing all right. How are you folks? Where are you all at?
I'm in Texas.
And I'm in upstate New York. So we got the gamut of the country between the three.
Splendid. We did it.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Ethan, you're in California, correct?
I'm indeed. I'm in Hollywood, California.
Yes, very nice. Ethan, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight on Monday. As usual, we always like to ask our guests the very first question, and that's always, why Schmodown? What got you into the Schmodown, and how did you get involved with this crazy thing on the internet?
A dare, I think. Honestly, I worked with Christian for a number of years, and he was asking me to do it for a while, and I was like, no, why would I do that? No, never, no interest. and then I had me watch a few and do the free for all, which I guess two years ago now, and I was like, hey, this is actually pretty cool, and there's a lot of great people, and it was a lot of fun. And it is probably the only place that I can ever use 90% of my knowledge. So,
yeah,
that's about right with all of us at this point. So that's what all the fans do the same thing as well.
Yeah.
Well, you've made your debut in 2018. We've seen you play some singles. We've seen you play some teams, live matches, exhibition matches. Do you have a favorite match so far that you've played in?
Oh boy. I mean, they've all been fun. As even though I didn't ultimately, prevail, I really did enjoy the New York one like a year ago. I thought was great. Just feel all that energy, and I went to school in New York. I met my wife there, and so it's always fun to go back. It was great. It was like top tier competition. I loved the one before that against Roca, I guess, where I won. Was emotionally and psychologically more satisfying.
That match in New York was phenomenal. I was live for that one, and that was one of the best matches I've seen in my life. So, props to that. So,
thank you.
Definitely.
Now you mentioned Roca. You have a match coming up against Mr. John Roca.
I do at some point in the near future. I don't know exactly when. I've offered to do it just like this. But apparently we're not doing that.
So have you been? You said you're famous for not training. You've always said that. Now that you're coming for the belt again, has that changed your aspect at all? Are you looking at books a little bit more?
I don't. I just. By virtue of the fact that it's also my job, I just pick it up, and I have to watch movies for my job as a movie producer and as a writer. I have to be up on everything that's going on. So I don't have to just kind of study. And I've said this before, and I say this about people who are very successful, like Smets. But when you do, and he's clearly it speaks for himself because he is a champion. But my feeling is you should do it it's what versus otherwise it might as well be state capitals or like anything else. If it's just sheer drilling, if it's just sheer like flashcards. But again, he's got a belt and I don't, so what do I know? But yeah, no, I just I know what I know, and if I don't know it, it's like in the match against Dan. I did not know the answer, and I don't feel bad about it. It's not like I forgot it. It's just it was not there, and that's okay. I'm all right with it.
Well, once you have been a champion, everything else can be secondary at that point. You've already got that belt once. You can get it again.
Yes. Yeah. And no, but I feel like it's impossible to know what to study. There's just so much. The one thing I did do is Bateman what he advised me before I did the Merle match, which was I ended up on the flight over, my wife and I, we drilled all the Academy Award winning films from 65 to the present. And I don't even think that came up. Maybe one question it helped me on. It was the Bull Durham one. That's right. It was the Bull Durham one. That's right. In round one. So I guess in that way it helped. But otherwise, no, I try not to.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, we already talked about your getting into the schmodown. Let's talk about you said yourself your job. You this is what got you into it, everything. Tell us about Silver Pictures and how you got into that and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I've been with the company for, I don't know, 16 years now. I don't want to do the math. I think I started in 2003. I interned there. I've always wanted to make movies. Love movies, like everybody here. And I wanted to work at a place. I'm not from like the film industry. Like my parents are air traffic controllers. They, so I had no connection to the business, but I always loved movies and went to school in New York at NYU for film. And in the summers, I would intern at various companies in Hollywood that, made movies I liked. So I interned at Bruckheimer, I interned at Village Roadshow, and I interned at Silver Pictures because they made Matrix and Die Hard and Lethal Weapon and all the movies I loved. And they liked me. And when I graduated, they hired me to be a script reader. And so for like $50 a script, I would just read, 10 a dozen scripts a week and give my thoughts on them. And they liked me enough to then make me a permanent in-house like story analyst. And I would do notes on projects and I was just out of school. So this is great. This is incredibly exciting. To be able to just, sit there and just read their new projects coming in and yeah, it was, oh yes, that's right. My wife did remind me that it is tough. To anyone who wants to work in Hollywood, you have to do it because you love the movies and you have to do it because you truly love the work because you don't make a lot of money at the beginning. My wife just reminded me that I made $12,000 the first year I was in LA.
Yeah.
But I was totally fine about it. It was most money I'd ever made in my life at that point. But it just, I do better now.
What was one of your favorite projects that you worked on in your early days working in the industry?
There were a bunch. It's funny, you get to see all these different drafts of projects that of movies that either never get made or they get made and they're very different. So like I worked early on Speed Racer on a version of it that Vince Vaughn was going to produce and he was going to be Racer X.
Oh,
and
what?
But it never came to fruition, as a lot of these things do. You take it to a certain distance and then he jumps off to do another movie and then and it's hard to keep things fully coalesced. It is the second they come off the assembly line, they're trying to come apart on you. So you have to try to keep them together, and that's the producer's job, is just keep all the plates spinning. But no, that was really cool to work on. It was like my 25th birthday, and we were in this meeting with Vince Vaughn. He led the entire company in a rendition of Happy Birthday for me, which was nice. I got to, it was one thing that was super cool. Another movie that didn't get made, but I worked with Joss Whedon on Wonder Woman.
Really?
And again, I was a junior exec. I wasn't like the one in charge. I want to be very clear about this. There were multiple people above me, but I was involved in the creative process and developing a few different drafts. And I was super stoked. Obviously, a huge fan of him. And it was really cool. It was really cool, and just to spend time in rooms with him. And I've seen him, again, obviously in the intervening years, either at Comic-Con or at, somebody's birthday party or whatever. And he still remembers me. And he says, I was like, and like, whether this is true or not, he does say that he remembers me as like the one really big positive part of that whole experience. I don't know if that's true, but he says it, and I'll take it. I'll
believe it.
But it was, so I got to work on that. And then a little bit later on, I got to be more involved. There's a film called The Book of Eli with Denzel Washington, which is the first movie that I really worked soup to nuts on. Like, read the script right when it came in, developed it, was involved in the hiring of the directors and going out to cast, and I was on set for it. And my favorite story from it, we were, and this is, 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago now. But we had a writer who was originally Gary Whitta was the writer. And then there's somebody else they brought in to just do a quick pass. This guy, Tony Peckham, who wrote Invictus. And he got pulled off to work on Sherlock Holmes, and Denzel Washington had notes that he wanted addressed on the script. So I just took my laptop to Denzel Washington's house and just sat on his couch, and we worked on the script for like a week. And it was election week in 2008, which was incredibly exciting to be at his house during all that.
Nice. Oh my god.
Wow.
So I guess the week leading up to it, and then also on election day, and then obviously he was a huge Obama supporter. So when that went down, he's like, "All right, goodbye. I just chartered a plane to Chicago for the party, so we'll pick this up next week." I'm like, "Okay, cool."
Right.
I did hear a little story I wanted to ask you about. I've been told to ask you about the story about He-Man and how that all went down.
Oh my god, I it's like PTSD. I'd put that out of my mind. You work on a lot of projects, guys. You work on a lot of projects, and they don't all come to fruition. Or if they do, it's not always the way you thought they were going to. Christian and I worked on it, and we had. This is sad. I don't remember. I mean, Riley had a version of it that he did that was, I thought, really good, and we developed another version as well. But yeah, that was a real bummer. I always wanted to see that, and I'm sure he's talked about it a ton, Christian. But it was sort of a Lord of the Rings meets Star Wars approach to it. Very serious, kind of. It was grounded. There was fun to it, but it took the material seriously, which all kind of previous adaptations had not. There was the script that he talks about, I'm sure, Christian, regularly, but he and I both read. I don't remember the writer. I'm going to besmirch him anyway, so it's probably best that I don't. But there's a line in it where Prince Adam says to Cringer, he's like, I hate the Skeletor guy. Let's go get a burger. And we're like, so we don't want to make the opposite version of that. I mean, we didn't succeed either, so what do we know?
So maybe you should have gone to the burger store then.
Maybe the burger one would have sold. I don't know.
Wow, the stories you hear about from this. Oh my god,
the burger that may or may not have been.
It's true. Marketing. You have the He-Man burger with Wendy's or something. I
know. Well, they're still trying to make it now at Sony. Obviously, I'm not involved in it, but I wish them the best of luck. I'll whenever they make it, I'll go see it.
Absolutely, I will too. I'll be there front row for that one. First day, rather. I will say another one. Probably you mentioned before. One of the reasons you got into Silver Pictures was because they made some of your favorite pictures, like The Matrix, and The Matrix 4 has been in development now. Is there anything? How's that going? Can you tell us?
I unfortunately, we're not involved in it anymore.
Oh, you're not involved anymore.
Yeah, alas.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to say, from what I've heard, it was going really well up until recently, and they had to shut it down. I mean, I know people who are working on it, and they say it's pretty incredible.
Okay, fair enough. Well, then we'll go back to where we did. Another one I didn't know was mentioned was the prequel to Orphan.
Yes,
that's something you're working on, though, correct?
We're working on it right now. It was supposed to shoot June 15th. I don't think we're going to make that date, but hopefully July or August. But yeah, no, it's great. We have a director named Brent Bell who did The Boy and Devil Inside, and the script is by Dave Coggeshall and David Leslie Johnson, who wrote the first film and then went on to write Conjuring 2, Aquaman. He was on Walking Dead, so we're really excited about it.
I love the first film. That was just a great, unique horror story for me. I love
it. And I worked on that one as well. I was like an associate producer or something on it, but I was on set. We shot that one in Montreal. It was a lot of fun. I'm excited to be able to go back. I still have my chair back from it. I'm bringing that to the set of the second movie.
All right. Is there a question? So you've talked about different genres now. Actually, there's a question in the chat there. What do you find the hardest genre is to produce? We've talked about horror. We've had action. I mean, which one really is difficult?
It sounds like a stock answer, but it's true. They really do all present different challenges, and they are equal. A horror movie is no different in a way than an action movie. The Joel Silver had a whole thing that he always called a whammo chart, which is actually not a chart. It was actually a document with words, but he called it a whammo chart. And it was basically every 10 minutes you need to have a whammo moment. You need to have either a major plot twist or something happen with one of the characters or an action sequence or a scare sequence. So in that way, I look at them all very similarly in that, they need to have a rhythm. And whether it's a car chase or the killer's chasing someone through the house, they need to have regular intervals of that.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I like all of them. I like action movies the best. Like the Sherlock Holmes movies were awesome to work on because you just had these, just massive sequences. We went to this town called Strasbourg and like had this massive explosion in the town square, and like all the town was there watching it and applauded us. It was really cool. In a horror movie, you don't generally have that when you're making it, but because you're in the woods in the middle of the night, which in that way is less good.
Usually cheaper to make though. Like, can get away the fog and like fogging up the background scenes and everything.
Yeah, no, look, you can spend a lot of money on a horror movie, and you can make an action movie for cheap. But yes, generally the ones I've worked on have been a little bigger and been a little. They're not more difficult to make, but they certainly have more moving parts and is a more complicated process.
Fair enough. One last movie I do want to talk about that you were involved is one of my favorite movies of the decade was the Nice Guys.
Yes.
Oh, can you tell me some extra about that? I love that movie.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, look, it's one of those. It's a bit of a bummer because like the movie's great. We're really proud of it. It was the first script and it's a bummer because the movie did well, but not well enough to warrant the 2 sequels that Shane Black already had envisioned.
Damn.
I know. You guys, everyone go out and buy The Nice Guys right now. All of a sudden, a huge spike, and we can just put it over the top.
I second that.
No, it was really gratifying to work on because I had when I first started as a script reader, that was one of the first scripts I read.
Oh, really?
And I loved it. It was in 2003 or maybe even end of 2002. And I loved it, and I thought it was great, and really, it was really neat to be able to then produce that movie. But yeah, no, it's a movie that I loved, and we, for everyone who's seen it, they love it. It's just, it was hard, and we opened it opposite. It was in between Captain America: Civil War and X-Men: Apocalypse.
Ooh.
And just, we were like, we'll be perfect counter programming.
Right.
As it turned out, people just wanted the programming, and that happens, and it's okay.
It isn't.
But I think had we, in hindsight, had we put it out at a different time, maybe it would have caught fire. Because I do think it's a great movie, and I'm incredibly proud of it. And everybody's great, and Crow's great, Gosling's great, and Gary Rice, who was the kid who is now Betty Brant. Is that her name in the Spider-Man movies?
Yes.
So she's in the new Spider-Man pictures. One thing I will say, this isn't really my story to tell, but you're all nerds and you like movies, and I'm sure he'll deny it, but one of the co-writers and producers, Anthony Bagarozzi, and I were sitting with Keith David, and we asked him, because he's in the film, he plays one of the bad guys, and we said, so look, we're huge nerds, we're fans. At the end of The Thing, are you the Thing? And according to him, whether this is true or not, according to him, the way they shot different takes where each of them, like where one Kurt Russell, in his mind was told he was a Thing, and in another where it was Keith David, and another where neither of them are, one where both of them are, and the end cut is taken from multiple takes, kind of mixing it up.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Basically, it was a non-answer because he said at the end, he goes, "I was and I wasn't."
I love non-answers.
Yes.
Things like that.
Yes.
Spoilers for The Thing. If anyone hasn't seen The Thing yet.
I mean, you had your chance. It came out in what? No, I don't want. I'm not a movie release dates guy.
You're not put up that slice. That's not going to be one of the ones you're going for.
I never put it up there.
Fair enough. But you know what? Speaking of the Schmodown, let's actually combine the worlds a little bit because Schmodown is definitely half of that is performing, and some of the people in there have some great performances. Is there anyone you've seen in the Schmodown that you think could maybe go on the silver screen for you?
No, it's all garbage. I mean, obviously, some of them already have been. I mean, Sam Clark's been in movies. Obviously, Bateman's a good-looking dude. Kalinowski's a good-looking dude. But he's on TV already, right? He shows up on stuff every so often.
That's true.
No, but I enjoy the performative aspect for a lot of them. I myself cannot do it. Like, I'm just like that, which is why Christian always pairs me with somebody who is like, a big personality. Because I'm like, I'm going to go out there and answer movie trivia questions. And I don't know. I think I have to do it enough during the day for the job of being like, all right, gang, let's go make this movie and blah, blah. Like, I don't have the energy for it.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about some more Schmodown stuff now, since that's what we originally came here for.
Let's do it.
You've now. What is there anybody you haven't played yet that you really would like to put your wits up against?
Ooh. I mean, it was exciting to play Snyder. I was glad to finally do that. But I think there's a lot of people that I haven't played Bateman. I would like to do that. I haven't played. I guess I'll never get a chance to play Rachel Cushing, but that would have been cool. There's a bunch of great ones like that. This new kid Barbarian, who's a friend of mine and Christian's. I think he's great. I would love to just see what have a little fun match against him. And look, I know I broke them apart at the draft, but I really, because I was so mad about Video Drew and Tom beating us, that I told Burnett to split them up. And
true.
But it would be cool to play them again. I know they're living their own lives, but
that would be another cool match, because that was a great match. Obviously, upset of the year at that point, I believe.
Oh yeah.
Winner of Upset of the Year at 2019 awards.
That's very true.
I know. I almost had Janine and I go up and accept that award.
That would be cool. That would be very cool. But speaking of teams, now you are in the Burning Drews. Now, it was mentioned that you were going to go teeing up with James White. Is that still on the cards?
I believe so. And you may have you already chatted with him recently?
I have not chatted with him anytime.
Oh, okay. Because the poor guy, we were supposed to go the weekend of, I don't know, mid-March. We were supposed to go, he and I together. I was going to do the Roca match and then roll right into the team match with him against, I don't remember who was playing because it's so long ago now. And then a week later was the free for all. And so he showed up, he got here, and Christian was like, we got to shut it all down. I felt really bad because he came out from the East Coast and everything. But he's cool. He's very smart. Janine speaks incredibly highly of him, which is all the kind of reference I need for him.
Speaking of Janine, we had her on a week ago, and she was very high singing your praises. Very sad that she still has been broken up from you. And
I know.
Unfinished business between you and you guys.
That's 100% right. And I'll tell you what, I blame myself for our loss in that match. Like there was I don't remember what any of the questions I got right were, but the ones I got wrong, one was a Peter Pan question. I think I said Dumbo, and there was another one that was a question. It was about what is the name of the series that had Voyage of the Dawn Shredder. And instead of writing Chronicles of Narnia, I wrote Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and I didn't ever reveal that I did that until now. And I was like, oh right, I was like, because I was not paying enough attention apparently. But yeah, it was a real bummer. I felt like I let her down because she's great.
She is. She's one of our favorites, definitely. I mean, you've been managed by Robert Meyer Burnett after being managed by Jay Washington. Have you seen a difference in managerial style or anything that you like better than the other?
I love Jay's energy. I've known, and Jay was great. And he was an excellent hype man and gave some good advice. I feel like Burnett and I have such a different relationship because I've known that guy for 10 years. We made a movie that you should all check out called The Hills Run Red.
Okay.
A horror flick, directed by Dave Parker, starring, who ended up being the biggest star of that? Janet Montgomery ended up being the biggest star.
Okay.
And William Sadler was in it, and it was a fun little horror flick we made. But yeah, 10 years ago for Warner Premiere, and so I've known Burnett a long time, and that man has always been a psychopath.
No doubt, he proves it.
There's truly nothing different about him now than back then. So
perfect. Well, I think it's time we should get into one of our favorite segments on this show. It's called This or That, and the chat knows this or that. I'm going to give Ethan 2 different items, and he can either ask for context or you can shoot it and just say the way he wants to do. Some of them are directed specifically for you, tailor-made. Some of them are ones we ask every week. So, we'll start off with our first one we always do, and this question, there's only one right answer. Are you, in this call to action Army podcast. Are you Team Ghai or are you Team Traitor?
It's so tough. I really don't know. I don't know which way my loyalty should fall. I don't know. No, look, I have hung out a little bit with Bateman recently, and he's a good dude. But Guy, I don't know. Guy is just so cute. Like he's adorable. He's just, have you seen those dimples? It's ridiculous. How can you be mad at that?
I gotta tell you, mothers everywhere love Andrew Ghai.
Yeah.
Every mother loves an Andrew Ghai.
That is the correct answer. We can continue with the game now.
Okay, great.
All right. How about this is a big one for you? It's a 4-way though.
Okay,
Leonardo, Raphael, Michelangelo, or Donatello?
it's Raphael, baby, all the way. 100%.
Raphael was always my favorite turtle as a kid. I don't know what it was about Raphael. Maybe it was just like that angst, but Raphael was always my favorite turtle.
Unbridled rage, baby.
I happen to be the Michelangelo guy. The guy who was too lazy. He was really good at what he did. Kind of lazy about it though. At the party, that was me. So,
Did you guys see the thing on Saturday Night Live, the middle-aged mutant Ninja Turtles?
yes.
No! I'm gonna watch that as soon
Watch
as
it.
we get out of here.
It's sad but incredible.
Sad, incredible.
Oh no! Oh man.
Keeping it in the turtle world, were you more of a fan of the animated series, the movies, or the comics?
I was first introduced to the animated series. I get probably like everybody and the toys and stuff, and then I discovered the comics, which are really dark and violent, and like, but they're cool. And like when you're whatever 10 or 11 and you're reading those, you're like, this is amazing. And then I think the first movie, which just had its 30th anniversary a few days ago,
Yes.
is incredible. I love it. I love that movie. I think it holds up perfectly. Kevin Eastman did a live watch on Facebook of it, where he talked about the movie as he just played it on his TV in his home. But it was awesome. And the movie 100% holds up. I love that movie. I will love it forever.
I do. I actually love that. What I love about that movie is basically it tried to do the best it could to combine like the comic storyline, dark aspects of it, but made it more in the animated world in a way. So it's kind of lighthearted, but it still had the basic gist of the storyline. I love that first film especially.
And it took it seriously, which was great. It took it seriously. There was real emotion. Academy Award winner Sam Rockwell as a Foot Clan guy.
That's right.
And like Elias Koteas is awesome as Casey Jones. Judith Hogue, who I don't know if she's like a Michael Bay muse, but she shows up in some small role in every Michael Bay movie.
Nice.
Maybe
I don't know what the deal is.
Maybe he's a turtle fan too.
Yeah.
Must be.
Yeah. This series, that trilogy is my all-time favorite trilogy. It genuinely is. I grew up with Ninja Turtles. It's my absolute favorite one. I really enjoyed the third one. For whatever people will say about the third one, I genuinely enjoyed it. But I'm just a purist when it comes to the turtle movies. My franchise. I was very tempted to talk about nothing but TMNT on this stream today, but I held me back. So
I'll come back and we'll do that too. I love it. I even like the new ones. I like the Out of the Shadows.
Yeah.
I thought that one captured the cartoon show so well, and like everything that I always wanted to see in a turtle movie, they managed to cram in. I loved it.
That's
very
great.
cool.
All right. How about getting out of TMNT now?
Okay.
Would you rather fight Dan Murrell? I'm not fight. Play Dan Murrell for the
Well,
belt?
let's see how the rest of the question goes. It might be fun.
Dan Murrell or John Roca? Which one would you want to face again at this point?
That's tough. I mean, I ultimately have both of them in the order of Roca and then Murrell, but and look, and I've beat both of them before, so I feel like I could do it again. But yeah, I mean, Roca, it's maybe just because of his attitude it is not as scary to me, and maybe because I haven't yet been defeated by him. Whereas like Dan and I, like 1-on-1, I only have, in the time that I played against the 2 times I played against Roca, I managed to prevail. So yeah, I'd say that Roca, I'm looking forward to kind of, taking down first, and then Dan Murrell. But no, Dan Murrell's great, and he's a lot of fun, and we, in the times that we've hung out outside of it, he's just a chill dude. So yeah.
Well, you have to always hold on to the fact that you are one of only 2 people who have TKO'd Dan Murrell. One of only two people, you and Mr.
Jesus was the other. Oh, it was Andrew Guy. Okay.
Same. This podcast is the same thing.
Yes. Okay.
All right, I'll do one last this or that question here. Jackson Healy or Holland March? I got to ask.
Boy, for those of you who don't know, which is probably about 7 billion people, those are the two lead characters from The Nice Guys. I always was more of a Holland March. I was always more of a Ryan Gosling. That character, I just love that character. I love it. I think he's a great character. But no, they're both great. You're making me decide between my two kids.
I always prefer what we call it. I mean, Bateman and Drew call him Fat Crow at that time. It's the bigger crow. That's what we like. Fat Sweaty Crow. It's our spirit animal. So that's cool about that. Well, that'll end this or that this week.
Okay.
So thank you very much for that. Danny, would you want to start doing the chat questions at this point?
Yeah, so chat, make sure that you get some of those questions in. If you ask anything ahead of time, go ahead and throw those into Kelsey really quickly. And then right now, we're just going to plug everything. Ethan, we know that we got to get you out here pretty soon, correct?
Yeah, in about 5 minutes, please.
Yeah, cool. So y'all get those in there really quickly. Make sure that you come and check out the channel this Wednesday. We have a very good Schmo Bates coming up for you. I know that it's good, but at this very second, my brain is rushing, so I can't think.
Kevin Smith versus John Kaiser.
Thank you. With special guest Rachel Silvestrini. So Rachel Silvestrini is guest hosting that Schmo Bates this Wednesday coming up. Smets versus Kaiser. That's going to be a great one. Cannot wait to see it. Kelsey, as soon as you get any questions up there, big shout out to Kelsey Kirkland hanging out with us. She is moderating the chat right now. Whenever you get anything ready for us, babe, you go ahead and bring that up there. So big shout out to Kelsey. Paul, do you have anything that you want to plug for this week?
I'll really quick plug. Next week on Chill to Action will be the wonderful Miss Brianne Chandler.
Ooh, wow. You guys get everybody on this thing.
We've had a great time. This is lucky episode number 31, so we're super pumped about that. So we've had a good time here.
Perfect. So, all right, Kelsey got the first question up there. Ethan, what's your favorite movie that you've ever worked on?
The favorite movie I've ever worked on? Again, they're all your babies. So, like, obviously, I love working on the Sherlock Holmes movies. Obviously, Nice Guys was great. A movie that we haven't even made ever was this thing called Gypsy, but this is another birthday story. We were doing it with Barbara Streisand in 2013. Ultimately didn't come together, but it was my birthday and Barbara Streisand sang me happy birthday. So that was cool. Orphan was awesome from like beginning to end. But again, Book of Eli, like it was the first one that I did soup to nuts. I wrote the back of the video box. Like, I got to do everything on that movie. So but they're all great. I wish I could say I had one that was my favorite. Oh, my wife reminded me in Orphan, there is a line I put in that is, they made t-shirts, the whole crew made t-shirts out of it about, it's a Peter Sarsgaard line about a snow orphan, and he calls it a snorphin. And it was just this joke, but it made it into the movie and we made t-shirts out of the whole thing.
Snorphins, nice.
I got one from Facebook here. Brandon Buckingham. What is a dream project that you really want to make?
I mean, I would love to work on a Star Trek movie. Star Trek is my favorite. I don't know if anybody ever saw I think maybe it was like a Patreon exclusive, but there was a Star Trek Schmodown. It's the only one I've ever gotten a perfect game on, ever. I beat Smets and I beat Jason Inman and Whitney Seybold. I love Star Trek so much. I would love to work on a Star Trek film.
I'd love to have that too. All right, Kelsey, anything else in the chat that you want to throw up there? Last one, couple ones. Gareth McMurray, you produced the movie Whiteout based on comics. Would you be interested in producing another movie based on comics? And maybe which comics would you choose to want to adapt?
Ooh, yeah, I've worked on a couple things that are based on comics. We also did a movie, I don't know if I have a credit on it, but I worked on it, called The Losers, based on the great Andy Diggle comic, which we have the rights to it still. So we're talking about finding a way to do it for television.
Oh, that'd be great.
So there, you heard it here first. We've not done anything, but we're talking about it. And Whiteout too is something I think would be great to revisit. Working on that movie, and I got to spend a lot of time with Greg Rucka, and he was awesome. And I feel like we didn't. Look, again, you set out to make the best movie possible, but due to a million circumstances and confluences of events, it doesn't always turn out the exact way you want. But I think there's good stuff in that movie. There's great sequences, but I don't know if we lived up to the full potential of the comics. And I would like to revisit that for Whiteout at some day as well.
Perfect. Okay, we'll have one last question, maybe, Kelsey. One last question. We gotta wrap this up for Mr. Erwin here. Anything else, Kelsey, in the chat? Or Dean Morgan, how did you get a job working at Morgan? How was it?
I don't know what that means, but
That means
I assume that was an autocorrect. Maybe it's working in movies, but yeah. So I interned at Silver Pictures. Most people jump around. I've been at the same company for this entire time. I also worked. I'm also a writer. I wrote on a TV show called Moonlight, a vampire detective show that very loosely inspired the Barry Jenkins film. And then I've been there ever since. And I would say to anybody who wants to work in movies or television, you should do it. But just know it is a bit of a grind for several years until you really establish yourself. But if you love the movies, it's really worth it.
Perfect. I will do one more question from the Facebook.
Please.
Jeremiah Morris, how many Schmodown action figures did your wife make for you? And let me add an addition, which is more important, winning a belt or getting that action figure?
Hold on, I'll be right back.
That's right, y'all. We're going to wrap it up very soon, very shortly. Thank you to everyone who has hung out with us tonight in the chat. We really do appreciate it. Sorry that we didn't get to with the questions that I know that some of y'all asked us.
Oh, look at that. Look at that.
There we go.
That is a beautiful piece of art. Right
I'm
there.
back. So this was my wife made this for me for my birthday. And actually, is this better than winning the belt? I don't know. It has a belt. Wait, there's the camera there.
She got the best of both worlds.
Right?
She worked super hard to make that, and it's cool. And she's super creative. She's a filmmaker herself. And so it's really, it was really neat to get that. But it was cool to have the belt too. I should have just hung on to it if I was really thinking about it. Just shouldn't have given it up, but
make up for that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Ethan. It was a pleasure and an honor to have you on this show and getting to ask all these questions to you. It's great to have you in the Schmodown. Wonderful person in the community. Why don't you plug anything you want to plug right now before you get going? I will say, look at these are the things that we're just finishing right now. And even though this is a tough time for everybody, all the productions are shut down. There's two things that we have in post that you should be looking out for later in the year. One is it was a show on Quibi called The Expecting, directed by Mary Herron, who directed American Psycho. It's a really great horror piece with Anna Sophia Robb and Rory Culkin. And then a film called Seance that is the directorial debut of Simon Barrett, who's Adam Wingard's producer. It stars Suki Waterhouse. And it's a great little horror film. And as you mentioned, we're making Esther, the prequel to Orphan. But I assume that will come out at some points, the following year. Perfect. Great. Well, that's it. Well, Ethan, you have to go. We thank you very, very much. Have yourself a good night. And thank you, everybody else as well. Thank you, guys. Really great talking to you. Have a good one.
Thank you so much, Ethan. You have a great night.
Yep. Bye. Bye.
Well, guys, that is our show so far, but we do have it was a little bit of a shortened show. Ethan had a little bit he had time, he had to get away at this point. So I'm going to audible here, Danny, if you don't mind, since we have a little extra time. If you guys have any questions you want to ask us or anything you want to talk to us about, I'm happy to stay along for 20 minutes or so, get a real full chilled action of this.
Chilled action behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes. Things you want to, suggestions you want to make, anybody you want to see on the on chilled action. I will also take the time now, since I was kind of rushing through my pitches before or after Brienne. We actually did book next week's show. Next week's show after that is going to be the one, the only, the very timely Bobby Gucci, Tom Dagnino, Finstock himself. Yes. Coming on his show. So that's another one.
This is an opportunity for us to not only have Bobby Gucci on, but for us to have Finstock on. And that's exciting.
We're gonna try to do the whole mankind thing. We'll have maybe first 15 minutes with Tom, second 15 minutes with Finstock, and the last with Bobby Gucci. So I don't know about that, maybe. Kelsey, do you want to come on? Or you want to come on and talk? Or look in the background. She says yes or no.
Shake your head if you can see us. No, she did. Hi.
Kelsey's been backstage, so we figured we will throw up.
hello,
Up on
Kelsey.
screen.
Hi, I was not prepared to be on camera, but hello.
That's
everybody.
That's not my fault. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that was not my fault.
That was me. I put myself on camera.
Okay,
I wouldn't
well,
do
you
it.
look great, girl. I didn't want anyone to throw you on here without permission, so I'm glad that you threw yourself on here.
I threw myself on. Why not?
Let's throw some comments out here. Ed Harris sucks ball Ferris. I will kill you.
Well, since I'm on screen, I guess I don't need to ask this question, but I'll put it on here anyways.
Fabulous, darling, and brilliant Diddy. Well, let me tell you something. She's a pain in the ass. But she's my work wife, and we have a nice rapport together. We actually talk quite a bit trying to figure out what we're doing
Every single day.
every single day,
Every single day.
long periods of the day. But it's I wouldn't have it any other way because I think we have a good product, and I think that's mostly to do with her, and I have a little small hand in that as well. So.
We've had a lot of fun doing Chill. A big thank you to everyone who has been watching. Chill has been a project that I've been wanting to put on for a while, and whenever I was really, I'm a person, you can ask anyone inside of Call to Action. I'm a person who has all of the ideas and all of the gung-ho and stuff about it, but when it comes to like following through, it's usually not me. So Paul definitely helps keep me accountable and has listened to all of my ideas and has helped me run with them. And we have worked together. This has just been a wonderful partnership. And then bringing Kelsey on to the crew was extremely helpful because Paul and I doing this was a lot of fun. Billy doing this with us was really great. Billy was a big part of this also, kind of helping us get this idea set up and started. And then
well, that's an interesting question I could ask. Let me interject real quick when you're talking about that. We should actually, I'll ask this, and we'll get to some other questions here too. But we recently kind of, at first it was Danny, me, and a third guest host, and then a fourth person. Then we kind of brought Kelsey on to be behind the scenes, to dark shadow it. And then recently it's been kind of just cut down. It's been purposely so, try to run with just Danny and myself and then guests, just checking how different flows go and everything's go. And I don't know how that coming across to the audience. We've been kind of happy with just having the two of us and a guest. I don't know if it's coming over the same way we think it is, but I would love to hear some feedback on that. We're always good about feedback.
Absolutely. We always want to hear back from anyone who watches us. This tonight's episode is episode 31. So we've been doing this for a few weeks now. And we've been slowly trying to figure out our pace and our cadence and how we want the show to flow because it's still a baby. We don't expect to stop the show anytime soon. So we want to evolve it, and we definitely want to make sure that it's the best that it can be for everyone who watches because we genuinely appreciate anyone who spends this time out with us. We've watched this audience grow. And we're so grateful for it. So anything that you all have to offer as advice or just any kind of little things that you would like to see on the show, definitely shoot that out to us.
Suge Knight. Well, yes, PLD, why are you great? Because of fans like you. Let's see. What movies have we seen so far from Brian Fernandez? You mean this year? A bunch. Last movie I got to see in the movie theater was The Way Back, which is Ben Affleck's best performance in his long career, as far as I'm concerned.
The last movie I saw in theaters was Sonic the Hedgehog.
Mine too. Yep, that's when I saw in theaters too.
It really wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I enjoyed it. I thought it was very cute. I went to go see it by myself. I was the only person in the theater, and then right next to me, a mom and her son pulls up. So, and he was the target audience. Like whoever that kid was, like he was definitely the target audience. So to be able to enjoy it, sort of like with someone who the target audience was for, made it a lot of fun. And I enjoyed it. I played Sonic so much when I was a kid, so that. The ending, like the end credit scene, was a lot of fun for me. I really enjoyed it. It was cute.
Yeah, it was really cute. Okay, so when me and my daughter saw Birds of Prey, we were at the edge of our seats excited because that's what we were looking forward to. My son didn't really care. Seeing Sonic, he was like standing up and just like shaking. He was so excited when things were happening, and that is that audience for that movie. Is my son for sure.
Gilberto Campa, over under he Finstock doesn't wear a shirt on Chilled Action. I'm going to go with 60% over he doesn't, and I'll think that kicks up to 75 or 80 that it at least happens at some point.
Some point in the stream.
He might have started with it. By the end, he might have it taken off. At that point, I might take mine off at that point too. What the hell? I'll just be in solidarity. So that's going to equal massive ratings for you guys because you definitely.
Poor Danny.
I know, I'm just gonna sit here and like, sorry.
It's okay. That's okay. So I got some real questions. Actually, another real question. Chris Adams says, "How is it to keep up with playing guests every week/week in advance?"
Paul.
Well,
man.
I'll give a little bit behind the scenes stuff here as far as that goes. I try to schedule out. I like having my own thing. I like having about 3 weeks planned out. But so generally I kind of come and go in waves. I'll book like 3 or 4 weeks out, and then I'll kind of like do nothing for like a week or two. I'll kind of coast. And then when I get down to like 2 weeks, I start throwing out some ideas and try to get some more. The problem I always have, and this is like one of those first world problems as far as this kind of stuff goes, is I always like have a lot of emails or texts or whatever thrown out there. And it always seems that everybody kind of comes back at the same time, go, oh, I'll do this week. And then that's the week I've already booked. So trying to I don't want to book something and all of a sudden have say Dan Merle gets back to me and says, we'll do this week. And then I already booked it. And so it's kind of like trying to juggle that fine act, trying to figure out who I can slot in where. But it's a fun problem to have, to be honest with you. I will say I've had some other guests that I've talked to that want to come on that haven't quite nailed down yet, so we're still working on that. So
it's especially fun when Paul and I both accidentally book someone on the same time. That ever rarely happens. Paul and I both have we literally talk to each other like almost every single hour of every single day. So it's hard for us we communicate very well with this show. So anytime Paul talks to someone, he always lets me know. Anytime I talk to someone, Paul always lets me know. But there was just one time where it happened, and that was a lot of fun to try to maneuver around. But we did it, and
made it work.
We made it work, and that's my favorite thing about Paul is we always figure out how to fucking make it work.
Eric Lane wants to know which exhibition match are we looking forward to the most. Ooh, that's a good question.
To be honest, I don't really know exactly which ones are coming out. I know that we are getting another Jurassic Park one. I'm really looking forward to that. I know that we are also getting a Bond one, right? There's a Bond one coming out.
You're talking about the Bond one? Yep, they're doing the Bond one. They're doing. I know one of the ones I'm looking forward to. I know is the 4-way championship one between Nets, Merle, Roca, and Damon. I personally am also definitively looking forward to the Bateman versus Mance.
That's the one.
Movie release dates slice match, because I know I felt that when Ben lost that slice, it was not necessarily his. It was one of those things he lost it in a 5-way, and I think if it had been 1-on-1, I really think it would have been a closer match. I think Ben might have been able to keep it if it was 1-on-1. So I want to see that. A bunch of other ones I like to see all of them sound pretty exciting, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So. I just need Schmodown in my life. As long as there's Schmodown matches happening, I'm okay with it. It's totally fine.
Pretty much. Let's see. Good luck with Tom. He is wild, Danny. Yeah, we definitely know that. I've got a plan in place. We'll have to see if it works. Probably won't, but we'll just have to audible like we do when we need to. So
we'll see what happens.
Go see.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. Love the coffee.
Cam Chef would love to chill one night with Paul Preston, one night with Adam Witt, or both of them together. Oh, we had them on. We had them both on a couple of weeks back. There might be a time in the future we decide. We actually, speaking of that, we've talked about having repeats on Chill at some point. It's been brought up a few times, but we kind of have this feeling like we still have people we want to get on still. We're still working towards that. So why have a repeat until we can get through everybody, so to speak? Although I will also say that at one point we had talked about reuniting Team Action and bringing them on together, even though we've had Ben and Drew on. So I think it's going to happen eventually. I don't know whether sooner than later. I know we want to have Roxy on again because Roxy was our very first Chill, and it's the show's evolved so much that would be, I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Also, a lot of the earlier ones would be the ones I kind of want to have back on now that the show really found its footing, so to speak, and it's found its format more. I don't know, what do you think? Danny, you agree with me?
Yeah, so I absolutely. So that's one thing that we've gone back and forth about with each other. How soon do we want to bring someone back on for a second time? Because we have the opportunities for it. We're very fortunate enough to to know a lot of these people on a level to where it's really easy for us to ask them to come back. Whether or not they have the time, that's another thing. But if we wanted to have a repeat on, we've never really gone by a strict, let's stick with what's relevant guest schedule. We've never been like, all right, so this person has a match coming up this week. Let's go ahead and put this person on there. We've always just kind of been, let's get a Schmodown personality on. We are kind of aware of if something is around, and we do kind of want to consciously abide by that on a certain level, but that's something for the chat. So for everyone in there, would that be something that you prefer? Like, do you want us to just bring someone on who we can talk about matches with? Because part of what we do with Chill is not anything where the whole idea with Chill is like it's a second date. So we're just trying to get to know someone better. But would you rather us just stick to this weird Schmodown content instead?
We've done a little bit better. We definitely had some time with Sean Sullivan on when he had his first match. We do shoot for stuff like that, especially with the rookie type players.
Yeah.
I'll say it right now, and maybe he'll deny it or not. We do want Saul on eventually at some point, but we kind of wanted to have him on right around the time of his match debut. So we do have a soft idea of what we want to do as far as that goes. It goes back to what I was talking when I was talking to Chris Adams about, is that sometimes I'm scheduling things out 3 or 4 weeks, and it's like something happens, and it's like I'm not going to boot somebody because something timely happens. I mean, like, I'd love to talk to Dagnino sooner than later now after the Finstock match thing, but I'm not going to ask Ethan Erwin to reschedule because of it. So I definitely want to stick to that stuff as well. So it's kind of like a 6.5 one doesn't the other. We try to do a little bit of it, but we're not going to lock ourselves into that either. I would think that'd be a say. Garth McMurray, PLD, sources from TMZ said PLD actually stands for secretly loathes Drew, and I actually love Ben Bateman more than Kelsey. Any truth to that? First of all, sir, how dare you? Second of all, how dare you?
And third, sir, how dare you?
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm even insulted by that. Nobody's a bigger Ben Bateman fan on this channel than me.
I'm not a defender of PLD at all.
Makes any progress on getting Dan Morrell on the show? Well, I've tweeted him. I have gotten into a private message with him. Not anything to report yet. I'm still trying to work on it. He has said on air on a couple occasions that he definitely would do it. I know that I've been doing stuff, and of course with his news about leaving Screen Junkies, setting up his own channel. Maybe he's been busy doing that. I mean, so I don't know. Well, I when I have anything to report, I definitely will let you all know. Okay. For me, best Ed Harris performance for me, PLD. Ooh, I could do a whole podcast on that.
I think we've done basically a whole Twitter thread about that.
I have the Harris thoughts. I watch every single movie. Best is subjective, of course. My favorite, I have a very big soft spot, of course, for The Rock, because General Hummel and my allegiance with Ben and Drew in the Action Army. My performance I got into Ed Harris was The Abyss. That was the first time I ever really got into him, because of that scene, the resurrection of his wife. But probably if I had to pick out one, I have to say Pollock was a great performance by him. It's a film. It was his labor of love. He acted and directed it and worked like 10 years to bring to fruition. And it was a really, really good performance. So I'll move on before I go too far into anything else. Another question for me from Camshaft. When did I require this queen hat? This was a Christmas gift. Christmas gift from my daughter. I want to say it was 3 or 4 years ago now. No, Kim? Kim's saying no. When did I get this queen hat?
2018.
2018? Was that right? 2018, I guess, was Christmas. That's what Kim says. And Kim knows better than I am about time. So that's what it was. For Pace My Red Sox, I had a Red Sox hat that I used to wear all the time before that. And then this kind of shifted out. And now it's this one for now. So, Dean Morgan, Danny, you're a great host. We know.
Thank you. Okay.
Robert Parker, how you doing, Robert? PLD sharing mustache secrets as a special shampoo. I'll tell you what, Robert, I don't want to reveal my secrets on air. You definitely have my DMs. Slide into DMs. I might give you some tips on that as well.
Now I'm interested. Why is this so secretive, Paul?
Teach me how to deal with this.
Some like endangered species, like oil.
There's some magic
on
going
the black market.
There's some magic going on here. That's all I got. Chris saying,
man.
Chris saying he honestly thinks it works better with just you two and a guest. Okay, that's fair. That's good. I definitely trust Chris's opinion. I like Chris's opinion a lot. So thank you very much for that. Danny, you all do a great job. It's great to have a rotation. Okay, excellent. Good. Brandon Buckingham, why is Whataburger overrated?
Wow. Wow.
You just made an enemy, sir.
It's a fast food restaurant, y'all. If you've come to Texas and you're not from Texas and you get a bad experience at Whataburger, you have to understand it's still just a fucking fast food restaurant. Bottom line, it is what it is. But the idea at Whataburger that you can completely just have it your way and have this burger in any sort of way. The beef is totally fine. It's really good. They used to be really big and juicy. They have gotten a little bit smaller. That's my rant. That's my Danny rant about Whataburger. It's the best. It's better than In-N-Out. Arguably better than – it's not better than Shake Shack. It's not. I'm sorry. It's not that much overrated. Danny rant. Woo! Okay. Got one. There you go. You did it.
Gilberto Campa, for sure. Thanks for always providing great entertainment, especially during these times. Thank you. Thank you for saying that.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for being here. We really appreciate that. Yeah. Hopefully we are helping out even just a little bit.
Yeah. This is my job during quarantine, so this is fine. Okay. What chill episode am I most proud of? That's a good question. I don't know. I think that's really hard. I think that's really hard to say. That really is like asking me to pick between my kids, all 31 of them, because Paul and I really do work very hard on each and every single one of these episodes. I really do spend all day long getting ready for these things, so I prep for it. I do think the one that I did have a lot of fun prepping for that was a big challenge was when we had all of the reactors on. So I went through so much content that day. I just backlogs of Twitter and just to kind of try to get random information from some of these people that do the same thing that we do, that we really, really wanted to highlight. And I just kind of really wanted to show off these people in a certain way. So having to do so much of that for all of these different people was a lot of fun. So Chris, I'm sorry. all of the reactors. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It was not all of the reactors. I do apologize. That specific episode was a lot of fun for me because I did get to kind of deep dive in a different way that I hadn't been able to before. But I really do love doing this for all of y'all. So thank you so much for everyone checking this out, because I really do try to put a lot of work into this, and I really do appreciate everyone who's watched it. It's kept me sane these past.
We should interject that, Chris. You have been on Call to Action before and on Chill Action. It was brief, and you did you had a little run in there with Kate Mulligan, but you were on. So technically speaking, let's not throw this out there. So
that's true.
Technicalities. Oh my goodness.
Malcolm's Middle Earth Media. What Schmodown competitor do you want to own an action figure of?
Ben the Boss Bateman with the briefcase and the sunglasses and yeah.
I hate to say, y'all. I hate to sound basic and typical and just. I want an Andrew and Ben action figure. Look, I already got my Penguin over here. I don't have the Ghai and Apple, but I would love to have a Ben and do action figure.
If I was going to have an action figure, I'm not big on action figures anymore, Becca, but if I was going to have one, it would be Team Action. And it would be in the Team Action gear. It would be them with the face going like this and sunglasses and all. And I push a button in the back and it says, "Where's the belts?" That's what I'd want.
Or a Mark Ellis in the orange suit.
I want that too.
Right?
Yes.
Mark and Christian at the desk, as a set.
Exactly, the little desk. And the
now we're just going to get the whole thing. We're just get the whole complete set now.
You have to have one of Jen Sturger with the microphone.
Definitely.
And the back.
We've seen all of them. Okay, we've seen every show. We'll just have a play set.
I'm just picturing everyone as an action figure right now. Oh my god.
They're called action figures for a reason, though. That's why we go with Team Action.
That's right.
Suge Knight, what's your advice for a new podcast starting up? Oh, where you want to become our competitors and you're looking for our secrets. That's what it is.
Prepare to have no social life.
Kidding.
Yeah. No. That's it. That's really
part of it. That's part of it. I mean, if I had anything to say, I would say one thing: set a schedule, keep a schedule, and make sure you're consistent. the more you found. We found that this channel, it took a long time to find traction, but I think you can say we found our traction a couple different times. But the one time, I think one of the things it really kind of set us in stone when we made that schedule and we stuck to it. This is our 31st episode of Chilled Action, for example. We took 1 week off when we were in Spectacular, and I think we took 1 week off during the holiday, Christmas, New Year's time. 1 week off. The rest of the time, we have been on this channel every Monday, except for the one time I think we did the special Christian Harloff episode because we went on whenever he wanted us to go on, basically, at that point when he could. So, but otherwise, it's either Sunday or Monday every week, and just set to that schedule and keep to it and stick with it. Just stick with what you're doing. Find something and keep at it. That's basically my advice.
Absolutely. My advice would definitely be to start. If you have an idea, look, I know that there's been a lot of us, especially right now with what's going on, but if you have an idea for something, start. If you feel like you're doing the same things everyone else, who cares? Doesn't matter. Just start. If you have an idea and you really want to do it and you feel proud of it and you feel confident in your idea, all you have to do is start. The hardest thing to do is start. You can go back and look at all of the first things from Call to Action to where we are now. We are definitely not the same. You will learn, you will grow, but the most important thing to do is just start. Go. It's not hard to talk to your computer.
Absolutely.
It feels like it might be, and it is weird every once in a while. And I guarantee you, from day one to today, there are plenty. Like, I still go to sleep at night thinking about how many times I put my foot in my mouth and how much I hate being on the internet. But here we are. So just start. If you really want to do it and it's something that you want to do, be proud and support and just fucking start, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let me see that podcast. Send me those links. Y'all got something for us to look at? Send me them links, y'all.
Everything. Part of this question for PLD, which at Harris Film is your all-time favorite. That's different than asking me my favorite role, so I will answer. At that point, I will say it's The Rock, because that is the one I watched more than ever, more than the others. For that, I could watch the shower room sequence on repeat the whole entire time. You walked the wrong goddamn room, come out. Oh God, I'm almost getting erect. All right. Let's see.
Oh Lord.
Think through here. No, I at least I admit it. The Schmo way. You've all been one of the examples to follow for after shows and Schmodown commentaries. Keep up the great work. Wow, that's very cool of you to say.
Yeah,
really, really appreciate that. We do work our ass off, and I'm happy to see it. I mean, if you really feel that way, that's great for us to hear. Really. More Jen, please. You want another episode with Jen Sturger? I'm guessing that's what you mean.
Yes, please.
We could definitely do that.
Yep. Yep. We always go back and forth. We always laugh with each other. Who would we bring back first? And we always fight.
Okay, let's get back here. Sorry. Look, guys could try maybe have two different people on at once after you have everyone at one point, like having a Ginny and Spence on. That's something I've thought of. I definitely dipped my toes in a little bit there. We did an episode with, like I said, with Paul and Adam. Obviously, they fit together. We did the episode with Mike and Shannon, who they fit together. But as far as other interconnected, I would like to do that eventually. Maybe on the second time, especially when we repeat, it might be cool to have a little combination. Like, we're going to have a reunited team action at some point. That might be something we want to do. I don't know. I don't know. What do you feel about that, Danny?
Like I said to Paul, I've told Paul this before, whenever we just kind of go back and forth with different things that we want to do with the show and having multiple people on and stuff like that. It's a lot of work for both of us to do the kind of work. I know it might not show so much inside of the show sometimes, but we do a lot of prep work for this. So there's a lot of research and a lot of information that we do try to find, and we just kind of go with the flow. Because we are at a limited time. We don't want to go at this for 3 hours. So there's a lot of stuff that doesn't get asked, but we always want to be prepared for certain situations, just like with what happened today and having to kind of cut it short the way that we did. So we always try to be prepared as much as we can. So having to prepare for multiple people at a time is always a weird burden in a sort of way. but it's not a task that we're not up for. It's definitely something that we've talked about and that we've gone back and forth with, like when we've talked about having teams on, just teammates on and stuff like that. But I don't think having two people on is something that we wouldn't do. There's a lot of stuff that we really want to do in the future, and we're not opposed to doing anything because we're here for the hangouts. We're
So in other words, if you're hearing this, I just got to wear her down a little bit more. That's all. I'll just keep wearing her down. Eventually, she'll give in. That's the idea.
So basically, some of the stuff that happens on here is either me putting my foot down and telling Paul, no, this is going to happen, or Paul just pounding it inside of my head like this. But this is why we shouldn't. But this is why. This is but.
There's a give and take.
But if we do this, but look, I hear you.
But
I hear
you got a lot of big butts. You got a lot of big butts.
I don't understand how many times I've seen I hear you, but in my inbox from Paul, woo.
I gotta tell you, actually, the funniest thing, I'll even say this now, the phrase that we use all the time is when we want to be real with each other, we just lay our dicks out on the table. How many times I've said that in her chat, I'm laying my dick out on the table. And then she'll say it back to me that she's laying her dick out on the table too. So it's all.
This is our
This
is our working relationship. Sometimes whenever you're doing some stuff like this and you both have ideas and you're both leads on something and you feel strongly about a certain subject or anything, Paul, and that's just how we've decided to do. I honestly don't remember how it came about. It's honestly probably something that I said first.
You might. I'd love to do that.
I probably was just fed up with something. I was like, Paul, look, my dick on the table, dude. No. That might have been what it was. So Paul and I this is fun. This has been fun because
so clip that out. She put her dick in my DM box first.
That's right.
Her dick pic in the box.
Damn it.
Part of this test today is, and if you could run one of the factions for a month, which faction would you choose, and what would your first action be? That's a difficult question. I love all the factions for the most part. I love players in all the factions.
I'm a total shell when it comes to the Schmodown. I'm not gonna lie. I love them all. I love everything about it. I'm here for it.
I would probably go. I'll say. See, I want to say, here's a problem. I want to say dungeon, but I don't want to kick Kaiser out. I want to be I want to like run it with Kaiser.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd want to be like an advisor role too.
Why don't I say, I'll say usual suspects because Sam seems like he's not as there off. He's a little busy. So I'll take with that. And I will trade I'll trade for Ben Bateman and reunite team action. That's what I do.
Okay, so my idea, the first thing that came to my head was usual suspects, but I would make Janine and Ghai a team. That would be my.
There you go.
But yeah, bring team action. Woo!
And yes, I'll plug that for Malcolm. Malcolm's Minimalist Media. If you want my Ed Harris takes, I did do a rankum on take 3, which we had a whole episode with me, Garth, and Malcolm. We did all the Ed Harris movies, and that was pretty cool. So let's bring on the best Denuzio. I don't think Kim wants to come on right now. She's actually walked away at this point. So if she comes over and she wants to be on, she's in the chat now. I didn't get the.
Yeah, she's giving you a lot of shit, saying you're stealing her ideas.
Oh, that's
the bronze. And
oh, geez. I haven't gotten down that far yet. I'm over here. I'm going in there and sliding my mustache DMs. Okay, I can do that. Let's see what else. I'm going to get down to where Kim is because I don't even know where she is. I'm still on the higher up in the. Kim is on. There she is. Okay, awesome. Do you have anything you want to ask me, Kim, while you're on there?
Oh my god.
While you're on there.
Welcome to Chill to Marriage Council.
Chill to Marriage Council. Kim also says Janine and Ghai. I get that. That's a very good team to have. I would love to see that.
Ghai would have been a great team. Absolutely.
That's all the time we're going to have here, folks, because I don't want to talk anymore.
Look.
Yeah, that is a dangerous game. You're right. I'm watching her on the couch over there. She's got her head down. She's typing away. I'm a little
something scary is gonna pop up.
I'm a little concerned. That's why I'm about to hit end broadcast, so I can get away with this. Figured better to do. I never said you weren't. I think the only thing I have on you is I have a better mustache. It's about all I have on you at this point. Even that, oh god, now Indiana wants to come on too. It looks like
All the cats, all the
next
kittens.
up.
Hey,
is what-
all you cool cats and kittens.
It could be
Cool cat and
absolutely.
kittens.
So.
Oh.
Carol Baskin impersonation.
Well, while Kim is actually bring her on. That's up to her. She has the link anytime she wants to pop on.
Yeah, if you have more questions for us or Kelsey, please make sure that you get them in the chat so we have stuff to talk about.
We can wrap this up soon. I know, joke aside, we can wrap this up soon. This is just an audible, so have a great night. Thank you, Kim Shaft. Thank you. Appreciate that. Danny Trimistry, actually, that wall behind Paul. I probably saw his old teacher's whiteboard. There she is. There is Kim. And yes, Garth, probably if she really wanted to, she probably could grow her mustache. She's that damn good. So I do have the thing behind me. It actually is it's a big bay window that I cover up with a poster board. I taped it up so that the sun doesn't come in. Chill to Action Kim Denuzio. That could be my next guest. I could have her on. You could ask her all the questions and embarrass the hell out of me.
I just want to point this out. There you go.
Serious question from Ryan Kramer. Ethan was great, but so brief. Could you book your guests for a longer period, even if you only use them for less? Also, could we get Sam?
Sam Levine on first.
I would love to get Sam Levine on. He's someone I would love to get on. I mean, he's definitely very busy also. But I mean, we got Ethan on, so maybe I'm definitely someone I would love to get on at some point.
Absolutely. And then Paul, I'll let you address the rest of that question.
Is it great? Could you book your guest for a longer period, even if you want? I'm not sure what you mean by that.
I think it's
we
just
usually do go a little bit longer than what we do. We always like to ask our guests if they have a specific time that they have to leave, and there was just a time.
There's a little delay of getting on at this point. So we usually say an hour. I usually say an hour to an hour and a half. That's where we usually go, and usually people are good about doing that. I know Rachel only had 60 minutes at one time. She did. A lot of times it just ends up being the way it is. I mean, it can be longer, it can be shorter. We try to get as much as we can in there. But we'll do. That's the best we can do. And Jake Kim, yes. So there she is. Yes.
So we condensed the episode as best as we can, and then we just pulled an audible and decided to stay on and do this little Q&A for anyone that has anything else to ask right now.
There she is, an action cat. Brandon Buckingham, if you could choose any city for the first live event after quarantine, where would it be?
Boston.
Houston.
They say Houston. Kim says Boston. I say either New York or Boston, because New York is awesome. It's always the best live events to have, but Boston's also will be a lot of fun too. So
I need to try this fortune I keep talking about.
The answer is Houston, and if you would like to know why, then you can go back and find the Schmobates episode with me and Garth McMurray about why I argued why Texas is the best place to have a free-for-all, because Texas is central. So why not have the first Schmodown match that's going to happen after everything happened in Texas, where everyone can come because it's sort of central. Go watch Schmobates.
Dean Morgan off Malcolm's question, favorite dollar action figure you had growing up? I had a limited edition Andre the Giant in his bad guy singlet. It was big wrestling. They were big rubber figures back in the day. They really couldn't move them, but you had wrestle the hell of them. You had a steel cage, you had a wrestling ring, but I had to send away for the big bad guy Andre version. That was probably my favorite.
I had a Rogue doll that PLD got me as a romantic gift because he used to call me Rogue. So that was my favorite.
Very cute.
I will tell is the brief story here. I used to run a movie. I used to run a youth theater in the summertime, and I would have rehearsals 6 to 10 every night. Me and my buddies would go out and play basketball afterwards, and then we hit the only place that was open at like 2 or 3 in the morning, which was Denny's. And we had this really running joke between us where that Denny's was like a TV show, and so we cast the show. We'd give like the cast like the workers their names. We had like a Norm like from Cheers who sat at the bar all the time, different things. Anyway, this is where I met this one. She was my waitress for one of the overnight shifts. And the first day we got there, she like hosted, she waitress. We saw her behind the scenes cooking food, behind everything. So I was like, holy shit, she's like stealing everybody's powers, just like Rogue. So she became, that was her cast name was Rogue. And that's what kind of became the inside joke we had there. So.
That's
That
very
is
true.
adorable.
So I did not grow up with action figures very much or anything like that. I do have a really cute Jack from A Nightmare Before Christmas Nutcracker that I have. But growing up, I did have Barbies. Like I had a bunch of Barbies growing up, very typical. And the favorite Barbie that I had was this Christmas edition one that my mom got me, and it was an emerald edition. So it was like a Christmas emerald as my birthstone. I was born in May. And this gorgeous green dress with like these red and silver rhinestones on it. And I remember my mom telling me, "Don't open it. You can't open it. It's just supposed to be in the box." But I didn't understand that at the time. So, of course, I opened it. And I think I've gone back and looked at the value of it. And I think the value of it now is something stupid, like $400 or something like that. So,
Yeah. It wasn't my favorite toys growing up or anything like that, but the ones I remember the most were the Spice Girl dolls that came out because I insisted I had all of them in all the outfits. So I had and you couldn't find them all anywhere. So I made my poor mother, because this was before Amazon and things, go to every single store we could find looking for these dolls. And now it's like, why did I even bother? But it was very important to me at the time. It was very important.
oh, man, Spice Girls. Good times.
Yeah.
Action Cat needs a chill episode. Which Action Cat? But yes,
All
I agree.
Action Cats. Mine would be the worst one on.
Oh God, there's Indiana Jones, Marty McFly.
Hi.
It always bothers us, huh? Hi, Cat. Garth Murray, get Kim her own show. The brains behind the mustache. That's very true.
Yes.
Very true. What is Kim going to step up and make PLD an action figure like Ethan's wife did? That's a good question.
Oh,
I
whoa.
can knit him one.
You can knit me an action figure. A knit action figure. I can go with that. I'll go with that. That's a good idea. I like that. Yeah, Kim is. But yeah, I know, Ferris. I know. You tell me all the time. Malcolm, Candace, yes, she has embarrassing stories about me. Whether I let her tell them is another question, but we'll save that for ladies' night.
Yeah, let's have another ladies' night called The Dirt on PLD. Just like a episode. You just tell us everything.
I'll have to dark shadow that one.
No, we'll do it on my StreamYard so we don't have to.
There you go.
Watch us.
Depends on the next live event is. If it's in September, Ellis needs an excuse to be in Boston for the Aerosmith reunion. That is true. I don't know if everybody watched the Action Guys yesterday. Mark Ellis was on the Action Guys, and he mentioned that specifically that if the Schmodown was going around, then they might want to do a weekend Schmodown with that in mind. They would do the Friday night in Boston where Aerosmith, and by the way, Aerosmith opening act would be one of my favorite bands, Extreme, an Aerosmith Extreme double bill in Fenway Park, followed by a Schmodown event. So I would be all over that myself. Kim, if you come to Boston, you can visit his friend's comic book store and get you all the Rogue dolls and toys they have.
That sounds great.
That sounds fun. All right. Anything else? Have I always had a mustache, Paul? I usually actually for a long time had a goatee, and I had a full beard. At one point, I actually had almost a ZZ Top type beard. It's almost that long, but I actually now have to. This is all for work. I had to cut it down. They only allow mustaches because the rule book was written in the 1970s. I missed one. Okay, I'm sorry. Well, actually, a couple of them. Who has the best facial hair on the Schmodown? Well, obviously, it's me, if I count. But I'm not actually in the Schmodown, so.
All right, thank you so much for hanging out.
Who does? Actually, honestly, probably Saul. Have you ever seen Saul's bushy redheaded beard? I mean, come on, that's pretty freaking good.
Or beard, yes. I'm sorry.
I know that's pushing. Yeah. A lot of quarantine beards happening, so you might see some more that are better.
Don't shave your beards, guys. Let this quarantine go. Don't shave your beards. Wash it.
Yeah, wash it. Trim it up a little bit.
Wash your beard when you take a shower. Make sure you're taking showers during this time, y'all. If y'all aren't going anywhere, please
wash your ass.
Your beard. Wash your ass.
Yeah,
wash your beard. Wash your ass. Wash your beard during this quarantine. Thank you so much.
And you're right. Sean Sullivan also does have a great bushy beard.
Yes. Sean does have a good beard. Yes. Anyone that I love a scruff. That scruff.
Peely, best Red Sox player ever. The baseball questions. I was just saying how much I miss baseball. Best Red Sox player is. It's hard to not say Ted Williams was the best ever. My favorite growing up was Wade Boggs, and my favorite best recently in recent times got to be David Ortiz, right? I mean, the guy had so many clutch hits over and over again. Big Poppy, you can't go wrong there. So that's what I'll go with. Those three. I skip down.
I love listening to him talk. I love his accent. It's so much fun. It's so good. I'm not even gonna attempt it. I was about to, but no, I'm not. Sorry. Not sorry.
So you still, kind of using X-Men powers at least. I was first in line for Spice Girl dolls, possibly. I was very drunk around that time, so you never know what I was doing at that point. Cat to action, I like that.
This was a lot of fun. Okay.
Are we good to go? You want to end up wrapping this up there, Danny?
I think we're good.
Okay, let's see.
I think we're good. I do not see any more questions in the chat. I do see one specifically. This will be the last one.
Answered. Best nickname: PLD, Milthana, or Jake the Bitch Alcavetta. Or Alcavetta. Is that Alcavetta? Maybe. It's hard for me to say. I'm going to accuse myself since I'm actually involved in that. But Danny, you can answer that.
Just because of the amazing picture of Milthana, that one's mine.
Milthana is pretty good. General Milthana. Danny?
Who do I pick? Are you asking me who I pick?
Yeah, what's your best nickname there?
Milthana.
Milthana, yeah. Milthana one there. That's pretty good. I think that one might be the one that wins. So all right, Danny. You want to plug anything?
That's right. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Sorry that the chill interview was a little bit shorter than usual, but we're glad that we got to hang out with y'all tonight in the chat. As always, you can find me on Twitter at DannyJoy, DANIEJOY. There's no double E. Yes, there is a double E. DANIEJOY. You got it. You can find me on Twitter at DannyJoy. You can find me here every Monday on Chill to Action. Next week, hanging out with Brian Chandler. We're super excited to hang out with the Miss Movies herself. One of the OG podcasters on YouTube and OGs in the game for Schmodown. So very much looking forward to that. You can find me on the Facebook pages. I'll be in and out of there. You can find me anywhere else that you can get all of your call to action feedback. Hang out with me. Follow me on Twitter. Do all of that stuff. I got stuff coming up soon. I promise. Big shout out to everyone that donated to my coffee account. I do have stuff coming in, and I cannot wait to talk about that later. I'm not going to plug that too much here. I will bring you some stuff later on this week. I totally promise y'all it's coming. Woo!
All right. Kelsey, what about you?
All right, you can find me at KelseyKins90 on Twitter and Instagram. We also TeePublic. We've got merch. Check it out. We have some shirts and things on there, so that's some cool stuff you can order while you have nothing better to do than shop online, because that's what I've been doing. Not good. And then I have my own channel. Just look for my name, Kelsey Kirkland, and when you see my face, click on it, and you can find my channel where I do gameplays, I do trailer reactions, and I review Harley Quinn stuff. So check it out there.
All right. You can find me at Paul_Denuzio on Twitter. Want to give your Twitter address out, Kim?
No.
No, you don't? Okay. All right. Anyway, you can find me also on this channel as well. You can find me on the Action Industries YouTube channel weekly with my boy, Richard Eric Jarvie. We do a show called Class Action weekly on Saturdays at this point. An occasional live stream on Sunday nights late. You can also find me on my own YouTube channel that I've opened up called PLD Projects. I do a show on Star Wars, a show on V, and I have a new show in the works that I might be working with some guests, more be a live stream from them, but I'll talk more about that at a later time. Otherwise, that's it. That's it, guys.
I'm so proud of both of y'all for doing things.
Oh.
Super pumped.
Thank you, everybody. We love you guys all. Thanks for hanging out. We always love having you guys on Chilled Action. That could be. That probably should be.
That's right, y'all. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us on this Monday. As always, make sure that you check out everything Action Army. Make sure that you do anything action related. And as always, we salute.
Salute you.